Hi, this is Care Hart, and I'm going to just do a very quick video for those who received the Happy Packs with foam balls in them. Foam balls, my intent is you use your paint or glue and some paper, whatever creative way you want to decorate the outside of the ball. If you want to attach things to the outside of the ball, make sure that if you're using paper, that the paper's thin. Doesn't have to be as thin as tissue paper, but it could be like super, super thin book pages and stuff like that. You can also use napkins. You just tear apart the napkins, and you can use Elmer's glue, the white glue like you use for school glue. And these napkins, or any napkins for that matter, can decorate the outside very easily with just some glue. And if they have mobility issues and you're using these for mobility issues, then they can literally have rips of these already pre-ripped for them, and they just dip the rip in glue and then use their fingers to apply it, so they don't ever need these sharp objects. But if they can do sharp objects, then you can let them string it themselves, and I will show you how, so you can show them how, or they can watch this and see how to do it themselves. There's two things that I gave, either pipe cleaners or wire. Okay, so the wire will be longer, like longer than you possibly need. It's about 18 inches. Okay, either way, when you receive it, you'll want to cut it in half to where your wire, in this case, it's about 9 inches. I dropped the ball. It went running away. There you go. Okay. So I have already inserted a skewer, but for those of you who are watching this and you're like, ooh, I want to make this, the way I put the hole in the ball is with a skewer. And it's one of those pointy skewers, like when you make your own kebabs on a wooden stick, very affordable. I cut this wire to about 9 inches. So if you're only making one ball, you probably just need, these are 3-inch balls, and you just put your wire, trying to keep it straight. And if it's curved at all, you probably just want to use your fingers and straighten it out a bit. After you've decorated it, or before, then you run your wire through, which I would say run the wire through before you decorate, so you don't hide the holes that are already created. See if I can show you the hole there. See the hole that I just put it into? When you're searching the ball, move my light so it doesn't glare for you. When you're searching the ball, you're looking for that hole, and it's pretty easy to find, and you can do it from either side, because when I run the skewer through, I run it through the whole way and just keep pushing it and pull it out the other side, so the hole's even the whole way, one side to the other. And it's not a self-healing styrofoam, so that hole will stay there. So then you want to put your wire through, and then you can see that the wire's through on both sides. Let's put this back down so you can see the wire a little bit better. There you go. Now, because you have it on both sides, you can take, and I won't do it with this wire because I'm going to take this out and use this same ball as an example in a second, but you want to fold it to where you have a good stick bit that goes all the way back into the ball if you want to do it this way and keep it simple. And then you just push it all the way in, and you use the wire to stick into the styrofoam ball, kind of making a U shape there and pushing it all the way in like that until it looks like a staple. That's one way. The other way, for those of you, hi there, Barbara. For those of you who want to just use your pen and do it kind of like jewelry makers do it, you want to use a pen or a pencil or something round. If you have a skewer already, you can use that. And you want to loop it around and give yourself a good loop. It doesn't have to be this big. It can be smaller, like if you want to do it around a skewer. But this will not come out, and then you can just turn it sideways. And that'll be at the bottom, and it won't come out, and you can decorate all the way around it. And then to make it like any other ornament, I would just wrap it around my finger once, and keep that loop going. And you want to, and I'm only holding my finger way up and away so you can see it. If it was you, you probably want to hold it really close to the ball and then keep wrapping it around, okay? So you want to keep wrapping this around your finger. And it's hard to do that on screen, but you can see if I can do this in such a way that you can see. Let's see if I can do it with a pen for you. Just hold the wire like this, and you can actually just twist your pen around it. But then what will happen is you won't have that pretty little circle like if you did it with your finger. Right? And you can do it way smaller to make it a better ornament. This is not a gorgeous way to do it, but it is good as a person who can handle sharp objects, but their dexterity isn't all that great. And when I say sharp, I just mean the end of the metal piece here. Okay? I don't know why my camera is not giving you good lighting, but does that make sense? So let me unwrap this. And that's why I made this kind of loose at the bottom. Pull this out, and we'll do it with a pipe cleaner instead. Hey there, Tammy. I think I said hi to you, Barbara. So on your pipe cleaner, if you have your foam ball and the hole's already in it, and you find that hole, if it wants me to show you, there you go, you find that hole right there. And it'll be easier in person to find the hole. And you want to make sure your pipe cleaner's kind of straight. If it got bent in packing, then, you know, straighten it with your fingers. It doesn't have to be super straight. Like this will have a bend in it. It's not a big deal. You only need half of the pipe cleaner for a standard length pipe cleaner, which is, this one's 12 inches. So you really only need 6 inches because your ball is only 3 inches in diameter for all the balls I gave out this month. So push that through and just keep pushing it through. If you have trouble on one side or it starts to bend, like what I'm getting right now, of course on screen it's going to do there. And I lost which side I was going through. I'm not going to worry about it though. So I'm just going to push it through. There we go. We're going to keep going. And it made its way through. Now I don't need the whole thing. So I'm going to just put my finger on the ball and wrap it around my finger. Okay, and you see how that's not enough, and you guys are going, that's going to pull out, that's going to pull out. I'm just going to poke it into the ball like you saw me do before. And now I'm not going to pull on the long side. I'm going to take that short side that you just saw, and I'm going to, gosh, that lighting is killing me, if that helps at all. There we go, that helps. And I'm just going to push in the short side and keep pushing in the short side. And it's styrofoam. It's meant to give. And this, again, is not too bad for someone with dexterity issues. And they can decorate the little line. In fact, they can even use that little line to be part of their art. I made it wide on purpose because it doesn't matter if it's wide or narrow. If they're new to crafting, it might be wider. That's okay because you have plenty to do 1 or 2 balls with a single, what do they call these? I just call them pipe cleaners, but they're called something. Now on your other side, which is going to be your loop, your finger is the answer. You just roll it around your finger and then twist it around the ball. That makes sense? And then you're going to have extra. You really don't need that much. I just did it to show you all nice and high, and they can do it up close. If you give them only half the pipe cleaner, you know they won't use too much, right? So half the pipe cleaner would have been about here. So it would have left this much up top, which would have been fine for them to pull it around their finger and have a little loop. See the little loop? And when they do it, you really don't want them to completely push it back into the ball. But if they do, you can pull this side out a little bit. And this can be where you attach the hook if you want. But the pipe cleaners are for the ones who really can't do the pokey too much either. And if you notice that it's too pokey, the scissors get through the pipe cleaner and the scissors get through the wire easily, just a normal pair of scissors. So it's not super thick wire and it's soft and bendable. I know, right? Fuzzy cords, I call them that too. But this is how you can hold it if you want to use this to hold it while you're painting it too. And it doesn't have to be fancy pants. If you need it to be fancy pants, then you can put a hook like the old days, and I'm going to trim it right here. You can put a hook like the old days so they can hang it on the tree ornament style this way and they won't lose it. And then they can use that hook to paint it if you want to pre-do it for them and all they can do is paint. Okay, so hopefully that helps you guys. And if you're doing this for yourself and you're making this for yourself, it's so easy to make these foam balls not look like foam balls just because you use more than one layer of paint. More paint makes it a little thicker, and it almost feels like you're giving it a base coat. So these can be amazing. And I will share a link to how other people paint on their foam balls. I have an idea for how I want to do one of the foam balls, but I don't have any left over right now. I've given them all out. There's two different projects I personally have in mind. One is to make the foam ball not hung like an ornament at all. You know how you use balls on your table and they're just decorative balls sitting in a bowl? Look at this, I can't even get it out now. There we go, it's out now. Okay, so you have your balls that are sitting on the table and they look really pretty. Well, you can use your seasonal napkins, like this would be really pretty for fall, and cover the ball with your napkin, but not like this, right? I would rip the napkin into the pretty little images that I like on it. Like, let's say I want these acorns. I would just rip out the little acorns, and then I'd probably rip out the pretty little edging. And don't forget, if you're using a napkin and you've never used napkins before, because some people are brand new to crafting, that trying to pull that inner layer out all by yourself, and getting that, you know, pinching and trying to pull it is a hassle. One of the tips you can use is to take a piece of tape, like Scotch tape works the best, but I don't have any at hand. You just take a piece of tape and use that tape to help you separate the two layers from each other. It'll rip a piece because your tape will rip off that back layer, but not the inner layer. And then you just peel it off from there. Does that make sense? So I'm just peeling that off. A very simple and easy little craft that doesn't have to be Christmassy if you're already sick of the whole Christmas decorating part, is to take these balls and just have them in a pretty little bowl on the table, like the fancy pants bowls with the fancy pants balls. Now, you don't have to limit yourself to just paper or paper napkins. I have another idea that's popped into my head and I haven't had time to do it, is to use white craft glue and little pieces of old book pages. And what do I mean by that? Let me give you one. I have some here. And of course, the only ones I can find at hand are too thick for the project. So look at this book page. Do you see how when I hold it, it doesn't really bend, right? That's how you know it's too thick for this project. But if I take this book page and I rip it and I rip it and I rip it in lots of pieces and cover the ball with my ripped book pages, even the thicker ones can figure out how to do it, right? And if you do it like the old school style, the way we used to do paper mache back in the day, you can have, even for the dexterity challenge, you can have a little bowl of glue, right? So you just put this in the bowl of glue and they can put it onto their styrofoam ball. Or you can put it onto your styrofoam ball like that. And if you don't like how it attaches and it bends, just take smaller pieces, right? Because the smaller it is, the easier it'll go around your little sphere. And my idea, after filling it with book pages all over, which will give it a lovely layer, even if you want to paint over the top of that book page, then I would take from the bottom with a Sharpie, and you don't have to care what color your Sharpie is, but I would take from the bottom of that wherever my little initial, I pick a point, like draw a little circle around your point. And then I would draw up, because once you have some paint there, it'll be easier, or book pages there, it'll be easier. I would draw up or down to that little circle my stems for flowers. And then I would draw on little leaves for my stems, and I'll just do one thick enough so you can see it, right? So I just draw little leaves on my stems, and then have a button as the flower. You can just visualize and picture a little button right here that you saw how I did it with the metal before, right? Well, if you have any leftover metal and you like the idea of doing the little button, you can just take your metal, cut a small piece off like this. Maybe a little bit longer because that might be too small. And you go around and you put it into the hole, both of these into the holes of the button, and the button is the top of your flower. And wouldn't that look cute with about four flowers over the top of book pages as the middle? And don't make them all the same height. You'd have a flower down here, a flower up there, a flower down here and up there and down here and up there and all over the place, and leave the top kind of blank. And that would look so cute in a bowl, a little bowl full of flowers. And you don't even have to do the stem. You could just put buttons all over if you felt like doing it that way. So your wire doesn't have to always be what you use as a hook. It's just, and I agree with Tammy, it's just fun experimenting. Hey, Jean Peter. Oh my gosh, I think that would be cool. The Easter egg dies, letting them dip, and then using them with glue line. And then I don't know if you guys know this, but with glue, sometimes glue acts as a resist. So let's say you want to draw something pretty with your glue and you've got a bottle of glue sitting to your right that you're using, like, you know, the old squeezy bottles of glue. You could draw circles with the squeezy bottles and then dip or paint over your circles. And wherever you put the glue is not going to have the same color, same look as the rest of your foam ball. So those are a few different things that you can do with your foam ball. You can make it Christmassy, you can make it spring, you can make it fall. Making balls fall, that's cute. So you can make it whatever you want to make it. The point is to just play, because in the process of playing, we all have fun. And the fun thing is if you're not really sure you like how it looks right now, paint over it. You know, don't be afraid to paint over what you've painted over. It's perfectly fine. So hopefully you guys had a little bit of fun just thinking of ideas of what you do with this styrofoam ball. And there's all kinds of tutorials on how you would decorate it. For those of you who want to use fabric, I am not the person that you would want to experiment with, but I can tell you this, the way a lot of people do it, and you would need to have a sharp object for this. And some people use scissors to make their little lines from the top all the way around. But you definitely would have to have someone who can handle sharp objects. Okay, and you can do it with skewers. Personally, I would probably use a plastic knife. I think I'd use a plastic knife or an X-Acto knife, but I'm not including anything like that in the kits. It's just if you want to put the lines around that you squeeze on, and you would have to saw into it a little bit and then push the fabric in. You have to measure it just so. There's some fabulous, fabulous projects that you can do using fabric, paper, napkins, paint, whatever you feel like. This is your canvas for those getting the styrofoam balls. So hopefully you all enjoy this, and hopefully you all have a lot of fun. And for those of you who are caretakers, taking care of other people, thank you so much. It makes all the difference to them to be loved just by an individual caring for them day in and day out. Don't forget to care for yourself too. So love and hugs, everyone. Thank you for joining me. Take care.